Hello everyone, and welcome to the Season of Dawn info explosion reveal video thing. Bungie put on a stream that went over the offerings for Season 9, aka Season of Dawn. There will be spoilers in this video. The overall story arc revolves around Saint 14 and his apparent return to life thanks to your ability to maybe save him by going into the past. The Undying Mind's demise broke the Mercury machine, splitting a lot of timelines and affecting the past. As a result, the Red Legion have invaded Mercury and are looking for a timeline where they won the Red War. We'll be utilizing Osiris's Sundial, which is also the name of the 6-man seasonal activity, in order to repel their attack. Let's do a recap of the reveal stream. If you just want my thoughts on everything that was shown, you've already seen everything, skip to the time on screen. The seasonal artifact for Season 9 is the Lantern of Osiris. Bungie has said in the past that they want seasonal metas to change from season to season, and so with Season 9, we're going from short-range weapons to long-range weapons. Anti-barrier and unstoppable can go on bows, scouts, and pulses, and it looks like auto rifles will get anti-overload. I do like that they moved these champion disabling mods to the first column instead of the second. The second column has reload mods for bows, snipers, and all rifle classes, and this season introduced enhanced unflinching rifle and linear fusion aim for cheap. The final two columns have the most interesting stuff, but only one of the mods was actually revealed. The top right costs 4, goes in your class item slot, and gives a chance to give healing orbs on the ground whenever you get a precision kill with a bow, scout, sniper, or linear fusion. As for the remaining mods, we can make some deductions in the fourth column based on current mods from Season 8. For example, in Season 9, it looks like Breach Refractor and Ballistic combo have been combined into one mod and costs 5 total. The second one down looks like Overload Grenades for Solar, but the cost is 2 instead of 4. The third one down looks like Disruptor Spike, costs 2 instead of 3, and same for Unstoppable Melee, costs 2 instead of 3. The final one could be a Ballistic style mod, but the icon is new, so I'm not too sure. In the final column, it looks like Heavy Finisher is back with the same cost, but it is unknown if the conditions are different. The icon for the bottom right matches the current season's mod From the Depths, but it now costs 3 instead of 5. The fourth one down looks like it could potentially be a Thunder Coil replacement or a solar melee-based debuff similar to Oppressive Darkness's Void Grenade debuff from Season 8. The second one down matches the Arc Battery symbol, but it has the Void symbol in it, leading me to believe that this will just be Void Battery, but this is unconfirmed. Next, we have the non-artifact seasonal mods. Season 9 armor will have a different mod slot like seasons prior, and this season's mod mechanic is the Charged with Light effect. There are two types of mods that let you gain light and ones that let you use it or consume it. For example, a mod that lets you gain light is Precisely Charged, where you become charged with light by getting multiple rapid precision kills with linear fusions or snipers. Another mod is Empowered Finish, becoming charged with a finisher consuming 10% of your super. Another one is Become Charged by breaking an enemy shield with a matching element. Some of the mods have a stat penalty on them, like on the linear fusion one, reducing your stats. Then we have the mods that consume light, like High Energy Fire, which consumes a stack of light for every kill you get, but while you're charged, you get a bonus to weapon damage. We have Protective Light, where you get significant damage resistance against combatants when charged with light, but that effect consumes all stacks of light, but also gives you a longer duration for each stack, and it's also minus 10 strength. Moving on, finishers now have a favorites system where you can select your favorite finishers and then equip a finisher that gives a random finisher from the favorites that you selected. So basically it's a randomizer. Sparrows are now enabled on Mercury, which is great. Now let's talk about the Sundial, which is Season 9's seasonal activity. If you're familiar with the Menagerie, it's that. The Sundial appears to be basically a shortened version of the Menagerie at first glance. You'll enter the Sundial, be given a random encounter to go do. In the case of the stream, it was bombardment. You'll complete the encounter, go back to the Sundial, keep fighting until you get 100% on the bar, and then fight a boss. I imagine it'll only take 1 or 2 encounters to get to the boss phase based on the gameplay from the stream, and from that, I'm guessing there will be probably 3 or 4 different encounters. We did not get to see the boss fight, but as seen on the roadmap, there will be 4 different bosses, all Scion-type bosses, on a weekly style rotator. The 4th boss will come out in February. It is a 6-player activity and will come with a hard mode later on January 7th. The normal mode will have matchmaking, the hard mode will not, again, like the Menagerie. The reward structure and how rewards work in general were not elaborated on in the stream. And that was it for the reveal stream. So let's now take a look at the roadmap for Season 9. So starting out, we'll get the Sundial, assuming you bought the season, along with the following free things. The Seasonal Artifact, the Solar Subclass Update, which we'll talk about, Elimination is coming to PvP full-time, Rusted Lands is coming back, and the Tangled Shore and Mars Obelisks are opening, whatever that means. The following week, we will see a new boss in the Sundial, the other 2 obelisks will open, and it looks like a Saint 14 related story mission will become available, or story missions, we don't know how many. On the 24th, we'll get another boss in the Sundial, an Iron Banner. In the new year, we'll get hard mode Sundial along with 2 exotic quests, one on the 7th and one on the 28th. On February 4th, we'll get the Empyrean Foundation, whatever that is, and the final Sundial boss. Crimson Days will cap off the season in the middle of February, where the season will end on the first Tuesday in March. We also have updates to 3 underperforming solar subclasses in a similar way that underperforming arc subclasses were buffed a few months ago. Bottom Tree Gunslinger, Middle Tree Sunbreaker, and Top Tree Dawnblade. Bungie wanted to buff these and to give them a little bit more of an identity. I'm going to very quickly recap the solar subclass changes, starting with Hunter. Way of the Sharpshooter, aka Bottom Tree, wasn't really fulfilling the Sharpshooter role enough. Line 'em Up and Crowd Pleaser are being merged into a single perk, and Knock 'em Down is a new perk that increases weapon stability and aim down sight speed on precision final blows. The buff lasts for 10 seconds, and additional final blows and assists can bump it up to 25. If you use Golden Gun while the buff has 20 seconds or more remaining, the buff is consumed and you deal more damage with Golden Gun, but this does not stack with Celestial Nighthawk. Also, Hunters are getting a one-shot throwing knife, assuming you hit to the head in PvP, but the animation has a wind-up. Hammer Titans, aka Code of the Devastator, are getting a more PvP-focused buff. The throwing hammer will hit harder, Roaring Flames damage boost in PvP is getting buffed, the timer for Roaring Flames is getting buffed, the super is getting buffed in terms of duration, the super's heavy attack is getting a height increase on the explosion, and a radius increase to find targets much easier. Warlocks are getting their top tree changed a little bit, some perks are getting reorganized, but otherwise the core of the experience is still very much aerial combat. The melee is getting changed to a spiral explosion projectile thing. You can eat your grenade for more glide time. And Icarus Dash boosts your speed while in Daybreak, since Daybreak is getting a speed reduction. Alright, so that is all of the new info from the reveal stream and past updates. So I guess it is time for my thoughts on all of this. First off, the Sundial looks way better than the Vex Offensive because it's the Menagerie, and the Menagerie was good. Here's a hot take for all of you. The Menagerie ruined Destiny. The Menagerie was such a well put together activity, being 6 players with good encounters and great player agency with regards to how you were rewarded, that it is now the new bar. Every seasonal activity is now judged against the Menagerie, and that's why I imagine the Sundial is so heavily influenced by the Menagerie, because it was good. And anything less than Menagerie level quality is going to be viewed as a potential failure, which is why I'm interested to see how Bungie handles future seasonal activities. I don't know if people are going to want to keep playing Menagerie spin-offs. A lot of feedback I've seen would suggest that Bungie should just make a horde mode that's part of the core game and just go all out with it. I've never played Halo's Firefight, but all I hear about it are good things, and I imagine if Bungie was able to go all out with a Firefight style mode in Destiny, that people would probably like it. No new raid is a bit of a disappointment, but my expectations were set long ago knowing that we were probably not going to get a raid every 3 months. No Trials of Osiris mentions at all likely mean that Trials has been shelved again. However, people are guessing that Trials has the potential to return based on multiple factors, mainly the fact that Elimination has been pushed in the PvP directory for the past couple of seasons. But for now, I have no news. What I do want to do is play some Elimination in Season 9 and see how people are treating it, and then we'll have a longer discussion about the potential of Trials returning in the future. But I don't think Trials comes back and solves all the problems of PvP, namely the sandbox, because if you think people are degenerates in Iron Banner, wait until that Flawless card is on the line. However, I don't think people really care about that and just want the game mode back. Literally rip it straight from D1 and throw it in the game, which I can understand. For all of the renewed focus on PvP talks, it seems like that renewed focus has amounted to adjustments to maps, the reintroduction of Elimination, and solo queue comp. And the community had higher or perhaps unreasonable expectations, not that asking for Trials or other adjustments is unreasonable. But I would say that it's also unreasonable to expect that Trials was definitely making a return when Bungie literally never mentioned anything about it at all. The power cap is being increased, but we don't know by how much yet. We should have an answer on the 5th, and I will post it in the description. There's also been no mention of new ritual weapons either. That doesn't mean they're not coming, but it doesn't mean that they are either. We will be getting more information in the next couple of days though, but I don't know if that information will cover new ritual weapons. The seasonal artifact seems fine, although I did think that we were going to get even newer mods in the 4th and 5th columns. We got what looks like a couple, but are otherwise just some elemental shifts. However, I do like that they are adjusting costs and making tweaks based on how the previous season went. That's great. The Charged with Light mechanic seems pretty cool on paper, but we'll need to see how it plays out in regular gameplay and if it ends up being worth the points. I like that it's not restricted to only the Sundial as well. You can use it anywhere, but the fact that we'll seemingly need to regrind out full armor sets to benefit from these mods in particular is a little bit of a sour note. The Solar subclass changes, I think, are pretty good. There are some slight worries about Gunslinger's one-shot throwing knife in that you can get it over and over again very quickly, but we'll see how that plays out. Hammer Titans getting a PvP buff is great. No complaints there. Top Tree Dawnblade is also good, but I don't know if people are going to want to put in the work or are capable of putting in the work to make the neutral game of the Top Tree be really good for them. It's a lot of effort to enhance the neutral game, and I think people will still end up defaulting to Bottom Tree for the enhanced super. Otherwise, this season is pretty much meeting my expectations for what I thought seasons in this year, year 6 of our Lord the Traveler, were going to be. Again, Bungie has said that they had to cut back compared to last year in terms of production. It was taxing on the team. Not only that, but they lost a lot of support networks in Activision and the supplementary studios. With that information and with what we got in Season of the Undying, my expectations shifted accordingly, and what we're getting in this season is what I expected. A seasonal activity, new season rank, a couple of new armor sets and weapons, splash of story missions, and then we're moving on. Yes, last year's content costs around the same amount, but that's because there were 3 different studios working around the clock to make that content. I do think this season will be better than Season of the Undying if we look at only Season of the Undying content versus Season of Dawn. And I don't think $10 for it is asking much. Skip a trip to Starbucks in the morning and you got it. You know what I mean? Bungie is just not going to be able to keep up with player demand. If you're expecting a new destination, vendor refresh, new dungeon and/or raid, brand new activity, all these things for quarterly updates, it's time to adjust expectations because it is clearly not going to be happening. They cannot produce that much stuff in such a small amount of time. Even cutting back to 1 drop every 6 months compared to 2 drops in 3 months seems like a logical idea or good idea, but people will still tear through that content immediately unless Bungie time gates it. Look at Shadowkeep as an example. Probably took a year, if not more, to develop Shadowkeep, and people tore through it like something you tear through really quickly. Expectations gotta shift. That's the biggest thing I could say for this next year of content drops. Temper expectations. Things are not gonna be like they were last year. It'll be close, but not exactly. What we're getting, I think, will be good, or at least fine, or what we're used to. It just won't be as much as last year, or as much as we might be used to. And I think fatigue is definitely part of the equation as well. Fatigue from players. That's why I wonder how the rest of this year is going to go. Going into next year, are things going to get that spice that we want, whatever it might be? I guess we'll find out. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the reveal stream and Season of Dawn. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.
You have to go out of the world art and just like over and over again to like make sure they actually got it all
Was
working.
that a comma?
Giant time walls and everything.
Oh my god, those are commas.
So we're going to be fighting our way up this slope
damage
here.
numbers
Matt,
have commas
the
in them.
Sundial is sort of immersed